Marfoogle News going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Anime K Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. First of all, actually, Marfoogle TV, we're skipping news tonight because it is, we're compacting everything into one important show tonight. So, again, welcome to Marfoogle TV. Ukraine's new defense chief reveals that up to 200,000 soldiers have gone AWOL, so they were actually already enlisted and serving and essentially bounced out, and that 2 million are dodging drafts. So, some staggering numbers there. Most of us kind of understand in their situation, without the help of NATO and the U.S., I mean, gosh, it would have just been a duck shoot or a barrel shoot, essentially. And I'm sure that, many Ukrainians are looking at this and going, yeah, we don't want to go up against Russia. They make it, obviously, in our media look like they are just valiantly, beating, Russia's butt every week. But, again, that's not exactly the case. Again, Ukraine estimates that 200,000 of its soldiers are absent without official leave, AWOL, meaning that they have left their positions without permission to do so, the country's new defense minister, Mikhail Fedorov, revealed on Wednesday. Well, it might help, too, that the recruitment offices ended up having a bunch of fraud. In fact, one of the huge scandals was that these recruitment offices were funneling millions of dollars basically into supercars and mansions. But again, I don't know if that has anything to do with it as well. Maybe those people that they say were even serving, what if they weren't actually serving at all and they were just getting their quotas and they were getting, money for every person that they got on their military enlistment? But who knows? Again, we don't know what exactly is happening over there and what the truth is, what's Ganda. We're going to talk about much, much more tonight. Again, Greenland. Now they say that they have actually sent forces to Greenland. And by they, I mean Denmark and some others, and NATO has essentially sent some forces into Greenland. When you hear about what they actually sent, it's kind of funny. It's better than another dog sled, but it's not much better. It's more like, I guess kind of a short bus full. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. So we'll be back right in a moment. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Things are going down left and right, and we know it ain't right. I will tell you what. All right, so this is actually pretty alarming. If you did not hear, and I was going to bring this up later, but folks in chat brought this up, so I wanted to point out, yes, there was a 6.0, and if you can't see, it's kind of hard to see. There's a zigzag on the map here. That is the Cascadia subduction zone. So off of, but kind of between Salem and Medford, off of the west coast, off of Oregon, they had a 6.0 earthquake. The reason why this is a big deal is because if we have a full margin rupture everywhere from Seattle, well, in fact, everywhere from Vancouver all the way up here in Canada, all the way down to the beginning of California, well, if we have a full margin rupture, we will have a 9.0 earthquake, an earthquake that we really haven't seen before. In fact, even though we've seen a 9.0 with the Boxing Day earthquake, we've seen one with the, of course, and I think that was even 8.9, with Japan. Even though we've seen that, we have never seen one this close, this kind of rupture next to this much of a metropolis area. This entire area will shift 45 feet in one direction. So it's very, very, very unnerving to see that 6.0 earlier. And this is the information. Let me just show you. Again, it was peer-reviewed, and they did confirm it was a 6.0. They, of course, have their forecast from the USGS. But what is very, very scary is if that was part of that Cascadia subduction zone. Some think it's a kind of a good thing that it might be letting off some steam, but that's actually the second 6, I believe, in that same kind of zigzag portion right there in the last year. So I'll have to double check that. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it was releasing some steam. But if we have a full margin rupture, it will be a disaster like we have never seen before. And it also makes you wonder, with all of the geopolitical kind of wars going on right now, do any of our enemies have the ability to go down there, blow something up in the water and trigger that to happen? Because it would be the biggest disaster we've ever seen in the United States. I mean, if you could think of Boxing Day and Japan combined, that would be, I think, more appropriate. Like the toll would be even more than what Boxing Day had. And the appearances would be like Japan, only worse, because we are not prepared for it. All of our buildings are brick and not set up for it. We are not. We didn't have all these rules and regulations put in by our grandpas that said, hey, we all need to have all of our buildings up to a standard of an 8.6 earthquake. No, instead they were like, let's build everything out of brick and let's wait for the wolf to knock it down. All right, let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so this is almost comical. Dex, let's talk about the troops from Europe deployed to Greenland in a rapid 2-day mission as Trump eyes Greenland.
Yeah, so Germany and France and other European nations have bolstered the territory's defenses. They have sent a whopping 13 personnel from Germany, 15 from France. Specialists from Sweden, Norway, and Britain sent 3, 2, and 1. So I don't know if I can count that high. That's how many troops, as they call it, have now gone in to bolster Greenland's defenses. That's an amazing, astonishing feat by Europe there. Again, I want to repeat those numbers because you just can't believe it. It's Germany sending 13, France sending 15, Sweden sending 3, Norway sending 2, and Britain sending 1. So take that, Russia and China.
Yeah, essentially, when I said, this is a short bus of soldiers, I don't think it's going to stop a Chinese invasion. I don't think it's going to stop that. But again, who knows? Maybe these are super soldiers like what we sent to Maduro, right? Maybe these are technologically advanced soldiers that no one's ever seen before. Maybe they have sonic machines that can knock missiles out of the sky. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. One thing that we have to talk about is the fact that Greenland, we're talking about a mission now. They're saying we're going to take Greenland. Well, the president is in term. This much I know. Like he is not mincing words. He's not being coy about it. He's saying whether they like it or not, we want Denmark. We're going to take Denmark. I mean, it's pretty clear what's going to happen here. So that could, obviously everybody wants to talk about how that could destroy NATO. It could do this. Well, the president has said on Truth Social, basically, if they want to do that, that's absolutely absurd. We would still be there for NATO. If NATO wants to stop because we want to take control of this, well, that's just silly. After their big meeting, when they were supposedly going to be, backdoor meeting and saying like, hey, this is why we need it for national security, the Danish prime minister came out and said, yeah, we're still at a fundamental disagreement. We don't want to give it up. So this is not a good time for the world right now. Mad Max.
Adam.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've been covering troop movements, deployments, drills, fortifications, bolstering. Gosh, we've been doing this for years now. I don't think I've ever seen the mainstream media cover such a small troop movement. Even the German troop movement in Latvia the first time when they went out was bigger than this. So, yes.
This is
I can't believe anybody even wrote an article about it.
less than 30 troops. I mean, the president made a joke. He's like, you know what they did last time that they bolstered security for Greenland? The largest island in the world. They said they added another dog sled. And all the reporters laugh and everybody laughs. Well, this isn't that much more than that. I mean, how many, heck, could a dog sled pull 30 people? I don't know. How many, it depends on how many dogs, I guess. Mad Max says, I feel like UK is going into Greenland to protect its orange man. He's going to take it, but POTUS is just making a power play so somebody else can defend it while the US has its focus elsewhere. See, I don't know about that because it is so close and it's in our backyard and something's going down. I think we want to put missiles there and we want minerals from there. But again, I don't know. I think that they want it because I actually believe that one part of it. I think that we want it for national security, but I could be falling for the juice, right? I could be drinking the Kool-Aid. All right, and then we have Denmark's foreign minister says that Trump has a point on China and Russia's threat to Greenland. So he's actually admitting that this is actually an ordeal. So Dex, do you want to talk about what he actually said?
Yeah, Denmark's foreign minister admitted he shares concerns with President Trump and the U.S. officials over Greenland's vulnerability to Chinese and Russian influence. Despite his firm opposition to U.S. takeover, there's absolutely no Chinese footprint in Greenland, he said. But having said that, there's always a bit of truth in what Trump is saying. We definitely shared the concern that the Arctic is not any longer a low-tension region. And of course, we have to be aware of that. And that's why we have invested almost $15 billion last year in capabilities in Greenland. So
and 15 guys.
I think he's taking credit for some U.S. troops that are in money we've spent there too. But look, the remarks followed the Danish and Greenlanders leaders' trip to Washington. That happened yesterday, which we basically said was nothing, and nothing came out of it. They're going to have a working group to talk, but they did not come to a solution that was going to go down a path that Trump wants, which is the U.S. to take Greenland. So he said, we all belong to NATO, and we think that our way forward should be that we, combine forces so that we share concerns to some extent, not the methods, if I could put it that way, he said. So he wants it to be shared. He wants it to be a NATO issue.
Basically, they don't want to give up the land to the world's largest island. It's not a paradise. It's an ice cube. But this is something that everybody should be paying attention to because it is a make it or break it kind of move right here. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you haven't already, this is a device that will protect you against not only EMP devices from any adversary, but it will also protect you against a solar event, a Carrington level event from the sun. This is easily put into your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, again, Starlink devices, ham radios, even your modems. There is a device for everything. You have to get them directly from EMP Shield, and they will protect it against both of these things. It will ground the signal on less than 500 trillionths of a second, before it is able to fry your device. And again, it is the same company that is outfitting agencies like DHS, DOW, FBI, Air Force, and many, many more that are still top secret, I'm sure. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. If they're quietly outfitting themselves, why aren't we? That's my point. They make us look crazy for prepping. Meanwhile, they're feverishly gathering food and supplies and building bunkers and supposedly even digging underground bunkers all around the country. So, whatever. It's okay. It's all going to be a nothing burger. It's just a distraction. All right. And then, of course, we have Netanyahu asked the president to pull the brakes on U.S. strikes in Iran. Now, many look at this as a marionette kind of puppetry here, a puppet show, because almost every time that Benjamin Netanyahu asks us to do something, we do it. So, Dex, do you want to talk about this? And not too many people are happy that, most of the time we comply.
Well, look, there was a meeting. There was a call, I should say. They're saying, this is coming from the Times, but I'll give you some other sources on it in a minute. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu personally asked U.S. President Donald Trump to hold off on the U.S. military attacks on Iran, according to the New York Times reported.
What a good guy.
Citing an anonymous senior U.S. official. The two leaders reportedly held a call on Wednesday. The White House confirmed that call did take place. However, the White House did not confirm the contents of the call. And then notably that same day, Trump claimed to have received information from, quote, very important sources on the other side, end quote, that Iran had stopped taking out the dissidents. Trump reportedly decided not to intervene later that day, despite the international media reports that indicated that U.S. military action was imminent. So in a press conference today with Carolyn Levitt, I happened to catch one of the reporters asking her about this and asking if, Benjamin was the reason or not. And, she said, well, of course, Trump's going to make up his own mind and, nobody tells him what to do. But it was obvious, and the way she was going about it, that the call did happen and the information was coming from him as far as the change that happened at that point. So put it together how you want. But here's the thing. This is the guy, by the way, Adam, this is the guy who was like egging Trump to bomb the nukes over and over again. And we kept backing out. Now, here we are about to do a regime change, and he's the one that's going to come in and say, put the brakes on, please.
I believe it's only up front, right? He's going to say, can you guys not do this, so then they look like the good guy within the next couple days. And by the way, I believe the most of the world believes, because he'd said, pull the brakes on this, that they will. And then if we strike, it will be like, oh, Israel didn't know about it. Israel even said, don't do this. So I think that there's going to be a much big, or is Israel planning their own operation? They're like, no, let us take care of it.
Don't forget the deputy that we reported yesterday from Iran, who said it was Israel that was in there doing this, and his position would be they're pumping the brakes because they don't want their own people to get hurt.
Actually, I forgot about that. Yeah, so they went on what was that? Fox News? Was that on Fox and Friends or something?
Yeah, I thought it was like Brett Baer or somebody interviewed the Iranian guy. It was one of those Fox guys.
He said that they had operators in there on rooftops taking people out, and that's why that this all started, is that that they were taking out the protesters and started this huge debacle. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's propaganda, but we can go with our gut on like what's going to possibly happen next. My gut says that we are going to do something. If we don't, Israel is. Maybe they need some time to get supposedly their people out. Who knows? And then former Putin advisor says Russia will use nuclear weapons against Europe if it comes close to a defeat. So that's kind of, I would think that's defeating for Ukraine. So is there a win situation? Like, even if this is what we said early in the war, that if they ever backed, remember when they said that Ukraine was totally winning, and the hero of Snake Island and the ghost of this and that, and everybody had profile pictures, and they're like, if we back Russia into a corner, they're going to use nukes. Well, they're saying that this Putin advisor basically says that that's exactly what they would do. Dex, what did you think when you saw that?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of an obvious thing. The statement they're talking about is like, what happens if Europe takes Russia and defeats Russia, and he's like, well, if that day ever comes, you're going to be nuked. Like it's over. The game's over for everyone. But he talks like I think he says, what is defeat of Russia? If Russia comes ever close to a defeat, that would mean that Russia now would use nuclear weapons and Europe would be finished physically. He told, this was an interview with Tucker, actually. He goes, so I mean, it's simply impossible to even think about it, but they have been talking because they need a war to rationalize, to stay in power, to rationalize their existence. So this guy's an ally to Putin. And former President Boris Yeltsin. So he's got, some connections there, and his statements are obviously pretty significant, at least from a headline point of view. But it still goes back to the whole point that they're continuing to push this from Russia's point of view, that Europe is trying to create the war with them. And it's, when you look at Europeans' actions, I should say the governments' actions, the politicals, not the people. They're the ones talking the big game about, well, we need to fight Russia. We need to be prepared for Russia. There's going to be a war with Russia, and they just say it over and over again. And yeah.
Look at the comments. This is kind of an odd comment. It says, everybody in the world now laughs at Europe, which used to be, by the way, one of the core centers of world power, Kraganov said during the interview. And he says, now it's a joke. And of course, I'm not speaking of all Europe. We know that there are decent Europeans. There are smart Europeans. And I just wonder, we've had so many questions about a few of our NATO allies that you wonder, like, is he purposely, saying, hey, but we've got, those good guys, because there are some Russia, secretly siding with Russia NATO partners that are in on some whatever's going on, right? I just wonder, because they are so careful about offending their allies or secret allies. And is this kind of a hint that there might be a couple of those European allies that aren't exactly our allies, right? There's been a lot of weird stuff going on in NATO. And the U.S. is pressing Mexico to allow U.S. forces to fight the cartels. We're pressing them. We're saying, hey, let us go in and manage these cartels. This is something that, we knew right when they approved CIA missions down there that something is going on. Obviously, we've seen a lot of strife in Mexico in itself. I mean, they had the presidential palace. They had a riot that was spurred on the moment out of TikTok, still controlled by China. And all of a sudden, the Gen Z wanted to take the presidential palace down. You still see a lot of back and forth. You see multiple leaders in Mexico getting taken out, and they say it's by the cartels, but at whose order, right? Who is ordering these people to take out? Are they getting taken out because they disagree with, cartel control, or are they being taken out because they are, a cog in the wheel of an attack on the U.S. that is part of a way, way bigger mission to take the U.S. off of its top spot. If you guys don't know my opinion, I believe that we actually started World War III, and it wasn't like we're trying to start it. And I actually do believe that the president in a lot of these cases went for the heart of what was the money in the black market that was supporting an attack on the U.S. Everything fits. Everything fits. That my theory that they were planning this massive attack, that the president actually took first action, went after Venezuela, is going after Iran, is going after all of these parties that were involved in these operations that have been going on for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and possibly much longer. So yeah, this is a big deal. When they say this, Dex, and they just keep reiterating it, I think that they're going to somehow start going in or do some strikes in Mexico. Like something's about to go down with Mexico.
Yeah, they did this last year. They first raised it early last year, and then it was sort of largely dropped, according to officials, the whole idea of Mexico helping or allowing us to come in and do something. But now the request has been renewed after the U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro, and it's involved the highest levels of government, including, obviously, the White House and their president. So U.S. officials want American forces, either special operators or CIA officers, to accompany Mexican soldiers on raids on suspected fentanyl labs. And that's according to the American official who spoke, obviously, on a condition of anonymity about the diplomatic issues and military planning. But the joint operations would be a significant expansion in the United States' role in Mexico, and one that the Mexican government has so far adamantly opposed. They don't want U.S. soldiers on their land or CIA operatives helping their own military. They keep saying no. The country's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has repeatedly said that the two nations would work together to fight the cartels, but their government rejected the U.S. proposal of sending American troops across the border.
Hey, quick shout out. Wages in the house. Hey, it's nice to see you too. Somebody says it's nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, Wages. It's. I hope that you and your wife are doing well. Everybody was praying for your wife, and obviously she had a close call in or call with cancer and had to have a part of her ear removed. So he was asking for lots of prayers, and I think from what I heard, at least for the time being, that everything is a little bit better. So I'm happy to see you in the chat, Wages, and again, I'm kind of missing your text. My phone has been off for a minute, so I will get that back on. Aaliyah, thank you so much. Aaliyah, thank you for being here. Can't stay. Oh, well, no problem. Much love. And then, of course, Bobby Sue, thank you so much for modding. Make sure to thank your mods down there. And then, of course, Jammer, thank you. Candy Meerkat, Drops Homestead. We have Triple RBS in the house. We have Miss Dragon. We have See Here Think. We've got members J Pass James, 24 months plus. Thank you. D Griffin. Again, been around for a long time. Also a member. Thank you. And then Briar Patch, thank you again for being a member. Michigan Lifestyle and so many more. Thank you. And just some guy, not literally but a mile away. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys, and I appreciate it. All right. And then Maria Corina Machado says she presented Trump with her Nobel Peace Prize. Dex, do you want to go over what she just did?
Yeah. So she literally went and met with him and gave him the Nobel Peace Prize medal to Donald Trump. It was in a framed piece of art with like a letter in it from her to him, thanking him. But Machado, who received the award last year for her struggle against Maduro's brutal authoritarian state, told reporters that she had done so in recognition of his unique commitment to our freedom. It was not immediately clear whether Trump had accepted the gift, but he did. There was a picture of them two together. So that, I guess from the time this has been written. Earlier in the day, the Nobel organizers posted that the medal can change owners, but the title of the Nobel Peace Prize cannot, because I guess everybody's got to make sure Trump's not the one that actually gets awarded the medal, because he was supposed to, or at least he wanted to. But she clearly wanted to recognize the effort that was obviously put forth by him to take out Maduro and, put Venezuela back on a path, to repair, hopefully. So, that was a big deal. And obviously, something that even she had dedicated it when she received it. I think even some special teams or retired special ops were the ones that helped get her out of the country to go to Oslo to get her award. And then she even got injured in that extrication out of Venezuela from in hiding. And then she went to see Trump and gave him the award.
Seems like, what do you guys think about this? I'm not going to speak on it yet, but I just feel something is off with this whole thing. With Machado, I feel is BlackRock's puppet. Is the puppet of the $1 billion oil companies, and if they could, they would put her in, and she would, of course, work with all of the $1 billion companies to make sure that oil goes to our side, not the other side. Which, it's hard to argue. It's like, do you want the traditional meddling with the world, U.S. as number one, or would you like some other country that doesn't exactly agree with any of our values to be the number one? I don't know. It's like one evil or the other. And then we have, we're going to talk about the threatens to use the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I do want to remind you, go check out Jace, because this is a very simple service. You talk to a board-certified doctor to get a kit with all of your most commonly prescribed antibiotics in it. You can get it discreetly to your door. That way, if something happens, if there's an earthquake, heck, if you're on the West Coast with that 6.0, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, like, what if an earthquake happened? Well, if that Cascadia subduction zone happened on the West Coast, they already know. A 9.0 hits from Vancouver down to California, almost all of the overpasses are going to drop. With the recent studies they've done on all of the bridges and all of the overpasses, that America's in trouble all around. Like across the country, all of our overpasses and things are needing work. Our infrastructure was falling apart. They are just now starting to do some big bills to try to fix some of it, but it is in bad shape. If we have a 9.0 earthquake, the West Coast will not be traversable from north to south. That's the scary part, is almost all of these under simulations, a lesser earthquake than that. You will have a lot of those overpasses crush and essentially stop the north to south freeways. Not to mention, east to west, or west to east. But yeah, in that case, if you can't get to a hospital, if you can't get to a pharmacy. If neither one of those is operational, then how the heck are you going to fix something if you have some sort of infection or if you have some sort of ordeal that you need a first aid kit? Again, they have all sorts of great things. They have an expert curated trauma kit that they just introduced. So make sure to pre-order one of those if you want to get your hands on one of those. But the regular Jace case, again, has those antibiotics. And if we ever do get in a war with China, they make 90% of all antibiotics. It's the stupidest thing ever, but we all know it as preppers that that's the case right now. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll get a discount and you will be helping our independent channel at the same time. All right, let's talk about the president threatens to use a certain act to end protests in Minneapolis. Now, Minneapolis has been a absolute just Molotov right now because the Renee Good situation, she got taken out, one to the head, while she had a ICE officer in front of her vehicle. Everybody can debate about whether it was right or wrong. Well, we know the result. The result is there's riots and protests, and there's all sorts of actions that have happened since. Well, there's been even more events. Obviously, in Portland, over on the West Coast, you had another incident. And then, of course, this comes a day after a man was actually shot and wounded by an immigration officer who had been attacked with a shovel and broom handle. That shooting further heightened the fear and anger that is radiated across the city since Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency agent took out Renee Good. Now, the president has repeatedly threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, a rarely used federal law to deploy U.S. military to federalize the National Guard for domestic law enforcement over the objections of state governors. Now, remember, we talked about how this could turn into a civil war because technically Tim Walz was saying that he was going to bring in his state National Guard to essentially battle and get the federal ICE agents out, to get DHS out. So that's something that, you're talking about state armed officials taking out federal armed officials. So that's the technical, that's the literal definition of a civil war if that went down and it went south. Dex, this is, Minnesota is just in a whole bunch of hell right now.
Well, look, this act requires that the president issue a proclamation ordering people to disperse before actually going through the act itself. So is this the pre-announcement? Is this the formal announcement, like saying, hey, I've checked that first box of using the act, and the next step is I'll just roll troops in, or will there actually be a different announcement? But that act does require that the president make a statement about it. And here it is. This is a statement saying that they may roll this out.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate time for our country. Everybody is kind of reeling from just everything that's happening around the world. I am praying that none of this really, really, really bad stuff happens. But right now we are watching the beginning of World War III. And unfortunately, I don't think that there were too many people that had too many choices as far as the matter goes. And I think that this is all part of it. There's narratives going on. There's media. There is platforms. There's social media platforms that are definitely pushing the division on this. That's a known. As far as the dividing kind of customized results that everybody gets, it is an echo chamber that is just permeating violence and division. So I don't know what we can say about this. I'm praying for the world. I'm praying for everything to go better, but again, we don't know. Wages World, thank you for 32 Adam. Months. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, did you see that video? It's somewhere on X. I have to go find it. With the Minneapolis mayor, Mayor Fry. He was saying in his little speech, and he had the chief of police standing behind him. He was talking about the number of police that he had and that he wanted them to fight ICE agents on the streets. That was literally the quote. It came out of his mouth, fight ICE agents on the street. And the chief of police's look on his face behind him is priceless. So if you guys haven't seen that, I can see if we can find it.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of statement from a mayor is, it's exactly goes back to now what you're talking about, with an Insurrection Act, right? Like you've got a mayor saying he wants his police department to fight
Federal.
ICE. Yeah. And crazy.
This is what's happening right now, Dex. Like we're in the muck right now. And then DHS arrests armed man with extra ammunition for alleged assault of an officer at a late night Minneapolis riot. So there's just more and more coming out every day. It's like as tonight falls, over there it's a couple hours later. We don't know what's going to happen tonight. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night. The Department of Homeland Security says it arrested a man in Minneapolis last night who assaulted a federal immigration agent while carrying a weapon and a box of ammunition. The incident occurred several hours after DHS says a separate agent was attacked by an illegal migrant from Venezuela with a shovel. The one we just mentioned, the illegal migrant, was shot in the leg, prompting riots to escalate in the city shortly after. The individual showed up to the protest with a weapon and a box of ammunition in the bag. The individual threatened violence against law enforcement officers while pointing at his bag. So he was kind of doing one of these like, oh yeah, pulling his shirt up, but pointing to his bag. And they were like, oh yeah. And they put up their shields and grabbed him. So, I wonder how many of these people are part of some sort of op, if they are just genuinely, going by what they really think, if they believe that this is the right, the right thing to do is to take out these agents, right? And then next, talk about SpaceX Dragon crew returns home. Oh, this is a video from the Fugel fans.
Yeah,
so let's play this. So, and we had a description, right? Let's see. Let me play this. This is from Fugel family member.
It's on the map.
And it's supposedly the Dragon crew coming back. I think that's what we think. So let me unmute this here. Let me play this. This is from Fugel family member.
It's on the map.
And it's supposedly
hold on.
the Dragon crew coming back. Let's see. I've got myself open up here somewhere. So hold on. Where do I have myself open? Let's see. There we go.
Currently flying over Ventura, California. Look at that. It's a lot different when you know there's people on board. Oh my God, that thing is screaming.
You know what? This reminds me of videos I just saw on a show.
17,000 miles an hour. This guy's cruising.
Wow, what a great video. So this actually makes me think, wow, and then it disappears.
It's in the atmosphere.
What a great video. What user was that?
Oh my God.
What user was this?
SpaceX Dragon crew returning to Earth.
Adam, it came
Currently
from
flying
YouTube name Brandon Scott 3098. So Brandon Scott 309. He said, "Hey, Marf and Dex, I was able to get some nice video of the SpaceX Dragon capsule return back to Earth. Hope the Fugel fam enjoys it. I've been watching since CV started and wanted to thank you both of you guys for all that you do." So thank you for sharing that, Brandon Scott.
Yeah, what a cool video. And it makes so there's these odd videos that have been showing up on like these alien, caught on tape shows, and there's one where this line that goes straight up, and my wife said, "Oh, well, that's probably SpaceX," but I said no. SpaceX, when it launches, it has this tail. It's much easier to kind of tell what a SpaceX is. but it's just this straight line that goes up and through the clouds. And then there's another one that's reversed. And I almost thought, man, what if that one that's going up is actually a reverse of something coming down? And it looks just like this. And the reason it's so odd is the tail is so straight and it goes up to the sky. And then there's one that it goes down. And I just wondered if that video, I thought maybe it was a reverse of something actually coming down. And if you were looking at it from this way and it was coming directly over you going down, then it might look like that. So yeah, I was just thinking about a video and it looked just like this. So yeah, very, very cool catch. And then make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply if you don't have food and water. Again, water is definitely a must, but as well as freeze-dried food, if you haven't looked into it, this is one of the most affordable ways to get yourself into, again, freeze-dried food. You can actually get a huge discount through our code. Again, that is marfooglenews.com/prep. You have, of course, any kits from 72 hours all the way up to the 3-month. And there are huge, huge savings on the 3-month packages. There's also huge savings on the 1 month. There's huge savings on everything over there at marfooglenews.com/prep. All right. Thank you to everybody in chat. I appreciate everybody that popped in tonight. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Make sure to go check out the mods. Everybody from Bones to Wages World. Wages, thank you so much for being here. Ilea earlier was in the house. Of course, thank you. Lisa R. Hall, longest running mod. And then thank you to everybody that made it, including our wonderful members. Again, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. And again, join us for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. You, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. I'll be saying thank you to Mad Max. Thank you for being the top supporter tonight. Wages World, thank you. 32 months says thanks for all the prayers. Foogle fam is the best.